Pretty deadly, more like pretty gay. We've got new NXT champions, and they make Elton John look masculine. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling, here to review the NXT 2.0 show from the 12th of April 2022. There was 3 title matches. There was speculation about Rick Steiner being kidnapped. There was a lot of hype going into tonight's show, but unfortunately for me, it didn't really deliver. Was it horrible? No. Was it better than Raw? Yes. Was it as good as I was expecting it to be, though? Sadly, not. And we had an unfamiliar face show up that I did not want to see. And unfortunately, I think she's going to be sticking around now on NXT, but we'll get into that more when we get to that part of the show. However, we kick off with Cameron Grimes versus Solo Sikoa for the NXT North American title. Both men start the show in the ring. And for me, this is a no-go straight away. Red flag. Call it what you want. Surely we should be starting with Joe Gacy or Braun Breaker or something along those lines. Because last week we ended on a cliffhanger with Rick Steiner being kidnapped. He was locked in a cage. So that is how the show should start here. You know, we should get the aftermath of that. That was like I say, that was a cliffhanger. That was the focal point of last week's show. That is what we're tuning in here tonight to see. But instead, we kick off with a match that there's no rivalry between, there's no feud between, there's no heat, there's no animosity. It's just Cameron Grimes giving a guy who he respects a title shot. Is that really the way to start the show after it ended last week? I mean, the match wasn't bad, it was decent. In the end, there was interference for some two black guys. Not quite sure who they are. I probably know their names, but it's not up here on the screen. So Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, that's the two. They come out, cause a bit of a distraction. This allows Cameron Grimes to get the win, and then they beat both of them down. Grimes and Solo Sikoa both get beaten down after the match. I mean, it was a good match, but it certainly shouldn't start at the show, in my opinion. Then we have Braun Breaker comes out to the ring. He's pissed. He wants Joe Gacy. He says Joe Gacy thinks he's a tough man. Well, come out to the ring and face me now. All that stuff. He mentions that they finally got his father back, and his father was like shaken up and shouldn't be treated that way. His dad's a Hall of Famer. This and that. And you know, it's a decent promo for Braun Breaker. And then Joe Gacy comes on the screen. He says that he's in like Braun Breaker's head. He pulls out the Hall of Fame ring. He says, yeah, Rick Steiner may be home, but he didn't return with this. And he then proceeds to he says that Rick Steiner's whole career, sacrificing his family time, was all for this Hall of Fame ring. And he then puts the Hall of Fame ring into like this big fireball. It's like a canister of fire, like an oil tank or something. I don't know. An oil drum with fire in it, and he chucks in the ring, and then the ring starts to like burn and melt a little bit, I guess. But yeah, it was pretty good. And then we see Braun Breaker, obviously furious. He storms to the back. He's leaving the arena. Interferes, trying to get a question. Braun's like, "Get that mark falling out my face. He's fat." You know, as Scott Steiner would say. He didn't say he's fat, but he should have. Fucking should have called him fat. So yeah, then Braun Breaker jumps in a car. Pretty nice looking car, by the way. Speeds off out the arena. No idea where he's going. We then have Gyro. Eichmann Gyro gets attacked backstage with Kushida by Von Fagner. Then Von Fagner makes his way to the ring. He calls out a new challenger. Eichmann Gyro comes out, says that he'll take him on, even though he's got beat down. They have about a 2-minute match. Von Fagner wins. Von Fagner then grabs Gyro and tosses him into the ring. He tosses him into the ringside area onto a crowd of people because some hot blonde stood up and asked him to do it. So I'm not too sure who that was, but I mean it is what it is. It's alright. We then have a segment with Lash Legend. She's getting interviewed. Oh, not Lash Legend, sorry. We've got a segment with Nikita Lyons. She's been interviewed, said that she doesn't need to prove anything to Lash Legend. She needs to prove stuff to the WWE Universe. Then Lash Legend just runs in and is like, prove this, and boots her in the face, and Nikita Lyons flies over the chair. Then Lash Legend leaves after making an impact. So yeah, it looks like this feud between these two is continuing. Then we head back to Joe Gacy. He's still in the woods. He's like I don't know where he is, but there's this like weird purple light giving me like Edge Damian Priest vibes here, like shining on his face. Joe Gacy claims he's the only one that can lead NXT, and he's proved that he can control Braun Breaker. He can get Braun Breaker fired up. And Gacy says that he is the man. He's the only one that can take charge of NXT and lead NXT in the direction that it needs to be led. And then he gets like a pair of tongs and picks up the ring from the fire and places the ring onto his finger, and the ring is like boiling hot here, and it's like melting the finger of Joe Gacy, or at least that's what we're led to believe. But then he clenches his fist and he's absorbing the pain and the heat of the ring. I mean, I guess it was pretty good, pretty sadistic, I guess. But it was alright. It was pretty decent up to this stage. I mean, the show wasn't that bad. But what was bad is we started off with a dead match when we should have started off with Joe Gacy, Braun Breaker. Like, back in the day, when Stephanie McMahon got kidnapped, would we have seen a 20-minute match to start Raw, and then you've got Vince McMahon looking for his daughter? Of course not, The main focal point for the show was Vince McMahon looking for Stephanie. They didn't have a 20-minute dead match between Taka Michinoku and, Steve Blackman, and then Vince comes into the ring. He wouldn't wait 20 minutes, he'd be out there straight away. So, I just did not agree with how the show started, but overall it wasn't bad. Then we got Mandy Rose versus Dakota Kai, NXT Women's Championship, second title match of the night. Mandy Rose wins, Dakota Kai loses. I mean, it was a solid match. Toxic Attraction interfered, obviously, helped Mandy Rose win. And I noticed on Twitter, there was a lot of people like crying and telling Dakota Kai that she needs to leave the WWE. She should just quit and walk out and go to a company that's going to treat her right. And like, Twitter's full of, well, not just Twitter, but the wrestling community is full of fucking morons. I mean, I highly doubt Dakota Kai is just going to walk out and quit the WWE. Let's be real, the only professional wrestling company that matters. Any other company, they'll be gone in 5 years, they're not relevant, right? She's hardly going to walk out WWE, leave a decent paying contract behind, leave national exposure on TV behind, just because she didn't get given a belt on this occasion. I mean, she's still young, she's probably going to be champion in the future, but I highly doubt she's going to just walk backstage and throw the toys at the pram and quit and cry and bitch and just go to AEW because a bunch of people on Twitter think she deserves to win the title, It's ludicrous. I don't remember Booker T, crying backstage and going on Twitter and complaining about it's his time to win the title when he lost to Triple H at WrestleMania 19. Booker T continued to work hard, got stuck in, put his head down, and eventually had a great run as the world champion as King Booker. So, this whole, I guess it's this culture, community, I deserve this kind of, I want everything handed to me. I mean, Dakota Kai's alright, and she probably will be a champion in the future, but just because she lost here tonight doesn't mean that she needs to go backstage and fucking demand that Vince McMahon release her and go to AEW and do absolutely nothing there. I mean, there's definitely a future with Dakota Kai, but it wasn't the time. It just wasn't time. Mandy Rose is the dominant champion, Toxic Attraction, or a highlight of NXT. It would have made zero sense for Mandy Rose to lose the night, but I guess people just don't understand that. But got a lot of people on Twitter thinking Dakota Kai should just quit. You didn't win a predetermined match, so see that contract you've got, see all that money WWE are paying you, just quit. Just leave it all behind. Go work the indies for like $10, fuck off. What a load of shit that is. Then we had Tonio D'Angelo offering a peace offering for Santos Escobar, gives him an envelope full of cash. Santos Escobar goes, tells him that it's going to cost more than that. And he gives him his money back. He tucks it into the pocket of D'Angelo. I'm not too sure why D'Angelo is so bothered about trying to offer a peace offering in the first place. I mean, why is he... I mean, basically it's Santos Escobar and a couple of cruiserweight midgets that can't win a match. Why would he be so interested in, sucking up to these people? I'm not too sure. But anyway, Tony D'Angelo's growing on me. When I first seen him, I wasn't a fan of his feud with Tommaso Ciampa, but I mean, the guy is growing on me. I like the character. I dig it. Italian mafia boss. It works. But I don't know why he's kissing up to this Mexican. Honestly, I don't understand it. Up next, we have Cora Jade. She comes out talking about how she's still one day going to be champ and that she came up short. at Stand and Deliver. And then out of nowhere, Natalya comes out. Natalya gets in the ring. Natalya's getting a big evasion. Natalya's crying, saying, "Oh, Cora Jade, I see a lot of talent in you." And Cora Jade saying, "Oh, you were my first action figure. You were my first this, first that. You gave me hopes and dreams that I could be here as a champion." She talks about the time she sent her a tweet on Twitter back in 2010 or something. I mean, who cares? Who the fuck cares about this? Cora Jade did do a good job of looking as if she was in shock. I mean, this did look believable, like Cora Jade was standing in front of someone that she idolises, but I mean, Natalya's just so boring. She comes out, calls herself the Boat. How can you be the Boat when you've been an absolute failure on the main roster? I mean, you cannot recall one run. I don't know how many times she's been champion, but you cannot recall one title reign. Probably what she's most known for is the farting gimmick. So, I mean, how is that Boat material? You know, there is, in current WWE, there's at least 10 women I would put ahead of Natalya in an all-time list. I mean, come on. So, why? Is she the Boat because she's related to the Harts? You know, she's in the Hart family? It probably is, because she ripped everything else off the Harts. I mean, she pretty much ripped her entire career. She just copied everything that the Hart Family Foundation have done before her. So since Bret Hart calls himself the best of all time, the best there ever was, blah, 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 she's probably calling herself, the Boat, the best of all time, because Bret was the best there is, the best there ever was, and the best there ever will be. So Natalya copies that and, implements the Boat, the best. And the Boat just sounds fucking stupid, you know what I mean? A boat. It's dumb. It's dumb. Anyway, Natalya then heel turn out of nowhere, clotheslines Cora Jade, puts Cora Jade in the sharpshooter. Another thing she stole for Bret Hart. Nothing unique, nothing creative about Natalya. Absolutely nothing. Even she's nothing organic about her. I mean, come on, how many surgeries and stuff has she had? Makeovers. There's just not everything about Natalya. Just is plasticky and stolen and theft. There's just nothing organic about her. Then she puts in the sharpshooter. Cora Jade taps out, and then the refs break up the hold. Natalya walks to the back. Then some woman, I've no idea who it is, I think her name was Tatum or something, Tuxum. She says, "Oh, I want a chance to, prove myself in here forever." Then Natalya says to her, "Next week, you're all on notice," or something like that. She says the entire women's on notice, and she offers to give this person a match next week. So we're getting Natalya versus Taxum, or whatever she's called, next week, in a match that nobody cares about. I'm not going to say Natalya is a terrible wrestler when she's not. She's a good in-ring worker. I get that. She's a good technical wrestler. I get that. But that's pretty much all she's got. Everything else about her is boring. And she does remind me of Bret Hart, how her style is just boring. It is. I mean, it is what it is. It's like the one pace. Every Natalya match feels the same. I always felt Bret was massively overrated. Yeah, he could put on great matches, but if you look at all Bret Hart's great matches, it was all against other great opponents. I mean, Bret Hart never did what Shawn Michaels did. Bret Hart never had great matches with people that, could barely wrestle, what Shawn Michaels did. So, I mean, for me, Shawn and Bret are definitely not the same, and I definitely say Natalya. You can tell that she wrestles more like Bret than she does like Shawn. Definitely not the Boat. Then we had Index and Ducia join forces backstage. But basically, they believe if their men team up, they could win the NXT tag team titles. They don't want to team up though. Eventually, both women get them to agree. Deuce is like, yeah, okay. Duke is like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And then Dexter, will you team up with him? Will you team up with him? First they shaked his head, then when Indy kind of begged him, he just puts the thumb up, so it's kind of funny, I guess. It was alright. I mean, it was good. Aye. Then we move on. So it's time for the NXT. Oh wait, I missed a match here. It's Shio Quinn versus Draco Anthony. The problem is, I don't know which one's which, so I don't know who won. The taller guy won. It was okay, I guess. It was a decent, 4 or 5 minute match. Then we move on to the Gauntlet tag team match. Throughout the night, it showed you all the teams coming in and picking balls. Like in the Royal Rumble, we had the tumbler and they were picking their entry number. So they were doing this, which I felt was maybe a little bit overdone for only considering there was only 5 teams in the match, but I liked it. You know, it added backstage segments and stuff like that, and they were talking throughout. So no, definitely, and it did help build up the match. It made the match feel a bit more important because every like 15, 20 minutes you were seeing a team go in and pick their number. So you know, it was building anticipation for the main event, which is always good. So I did kind of like it. We start off with the Creed brothers versus Legado del Fantasma. Creed brothers win. Then it was the Creed brothers versus Briggs and Jensen. Again, Creed brothers win, even though they got put through the announced table. They fought back, they got the win. Then it was the Creed brothers versus Grayson Waller and Sanga. Again, the Creed brothers came out victorious. And then we literally get 2 gay boys from the UK. The Pretty Deadly come out. They were like looking like fucking Rico, dressed in like a light pink blue, sky blue kind of weird looking outfits. You know, just really, these outfits were really strange. They looked like women's outfits, but on masculine men. I mean, they could definitely pass as like 2 trans guys here. The way that trans women even, the way they were coming out. Then obviously the match with the Creed brothers and Pretty Deadly are victorious. They get the win, and they become the new NXT champions. So they've just vacated the NXT UK titles. They come to NXT 2.0 UK, or NXT 2.0, and they win just like that. So I mean, who knows? I've heard this team is good. I'm not really a big fan from what I've seen, but what I will say is they look different. You know, they definitely look different. Like, I mean, that's one way to describe them. That's probably a safe way of describing them without getting banned. So yeah, they look different. We'll go with that, guys. But anyway, that was it. That was NXT. I mean, it wasn't a bad show. I mean, it was pretty entertaining. And I'll give it a 4 out of 10. It was alright. It was good-ish. It wasn't great. I was expecting better, but it was alright. It wasn't bad. It was definitely better than Raw, though, because Raw's fucking shit, and it will probably be better than SmackDown too. Anyway, guys, that's it. Till next time. Been Fog Wrestling. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below, share this video, and I'll catch yous in the next one. Peace.